Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Amy Bergstrom. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Programming and Marketing Leadership Advisor in the Center for Leadership and Service. Welcome to Lead, Learn, Earn, a part of ThunderWeek Spring Welcome 2021. Before we begin, I wanted to share some tips to enhance today's program experience. Live automated captions are available. If the captions did not show up for you automatically, click on the live transcript button at the bottom of your screen to view subtitles. You can also click to view the full transcript so you can see what was said earlier. And if you'd rather not see the captions, you can also turn them off by selecting Hide Subtitle. Because we have many participants during this event, we are keeping all participants muted unless given permission by a host to unmute. If you're seeking a more focused view on your Zoom screen, we recommend that you switch to speaker view instead of gallery view to highlight the person speaking throughout the meeting. You can switch by going to the upper right corner and clicking on the dots to change the mode. This program is also being recorded and will be available on the CLS YouTube page in a few days. If you have a technical problem or event question, please use the chat feature. You are also welcome to use the chat function throughout the program to connect with other attendees and the presenters. We would also appreciate it if you could check in using our Google form. The URL is being posted in the chat. By checking in, you help us keep track of how many students we are serving with these programs and to get to know a little bit more about you. Thank you for your support. We also have some ThunderWeek swag that we can mail out to students who have not received any yet. This includes an academic planner, a sticky notebook, a tote bag, and a Highline face mask. You can fill out the form that's being pasted in the chat to provide your address to receive a swag pack. Again, please do not sign up if you've already received these items earlier in the year. They're the same ones we gave out in winter quarter and fall. So if you've already gotten some, let's let other students get those items first. We would now like to collectively take a moment to acknowledge all Indigenous and First People of the land and space in which we live and breathe. For our community at Highline College, we recognize that we are on occupied Duwamish, Coast Salish, Muckleshoot, and Puyallup lands, and we want to thank all relations and tribes today as we prepare to hold space as a community. We recognize that all of us are joining this conversation from different areas, so we also want to invite you to reflect and thank Indigenous and First People of the land and spaces in which you are coming from. You can visit native-land/ca as a good place to start learning about whose land you live on. Thank you. So the program that you joined today is Lead, Learn, Earn in collaboration with the Career and Student Employment or CASE Center. Today, CASE will be sharing about who they are, the resources they have available for looking for a job. Our focus today is looking for an on-campus job, although CASE can also help you with looking for outside jobs as well as your long-term career. We'll talk a little bit about why working on campus might be helpful for you and share about an opportunity to work in our offices in CLS and Center for Cultural and Inclusive Excellence. And then CASE will provide some basics to get you started in creating your resume and cover letter. And then finally, we have some time for questions. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleagues in CASE to get started.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniela Sean. I'm the program specialist for CASE, or also known as Career and Student Employment. I also have one of my consultants with me today. Zeba, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. My name is Zeba. I am one of the career consultants at CASE Center.
All right, thank you, Zeba. So you may be wondering what we do and what is CASE. Well, we do focus on career development in our office. We assist students with career exploration, and this is perfect for undecided students and those who want to do more research on their career. We assist with job search, and also every quarter we assist with mock interviews and so much more. Our online appointments have moved due to COVID, so we do have career advising and exploration, again, for the undecided students. And then mock interviews and resume building has also moved to an online format. All right, so like I mentioned previously, we have a job bulletin for students that would like to work within the college. So pre-COVID times, we called it on-campus positions. And we do have the Thunder Bulletin, which is on our website on studentemployment.highline.edu. It's under Find a Job, and then the Thunder Bulletin tab is there. We also have grad leaders, which helps students and alumni find jobs off campus as well. There are a lot of opportunities right now listed on the Thunder Bulletin, so we definitely encourage you to apply if you're interested.
So speaking of working in an on-campus job, as Daniela said, obviously right now the jobs are not technically on campus, but working for a Highline employer. I want to ask those of you who are here what you think might be some of the reasons why you would want to work on campus. So what would be benefits or just some of the reasons why someone might work on campus? So you can put it in the chat, or if you want to speak, you can raise your hand and I can make it so that you can unmute. So any thoughts? I know there are a few people in the audience who do work in on-campus jobs, so maybe you have some insights as to what some of the benefits might be. Maya says working on campus is great since I can combine the location of where I'm working along with where I go to school. Yay, transportation. Yes, so one place, one stop to get both of those things done. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Maya. Any other thoughts? Anna says flexible schedule and support with classes and student life. Awesome, thank you. Phoebe says to improve on leadership skills and your resume. Really great to get some of that experience. Cynthia says, as an international student working on campus could be beneficial to improve my resume once I graduate. Yes, that is a great opportunity to get those skills on there. Rhonda says, time management, usually on-campus jobs are very flexible. Yeah, thank you for all of those answers. And really, well, let me see if anybody has any others before I move on. I did a little brainstorming as well, and I think everybody kind of hit the points that I was going to make. So one of the things that people said is the flexibility. So people, if you're working for a Highline office, then Highline employers understand that you are a student first, and so really can work with you around your schedule and those kinds of things to help make the job work for you. Develop skills related to your studies. So people talked about being able to improve your resume. Sometimes the jobs can even be super related to what you're studying. So having that like practical experience. Convenient, as Maya said, you're coming to campus already, or you are working from home in a virtual environment right now, or working from wherever you are. So there's a lot of convenience there. And then actually, I just saw Anita say you build a unique community that is very supportive. And yes, I think one of the great things about working on campus or working for a Highline position for a lot of students is you get to meet other student employees. And that can be a great community building opportunity. Sometimes it's hard to make those connections in classes and that sort of thing. So thank you all for your insights. I really appreciate it. Daniela, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
Sure. I also wanted to add that a lot of Prof Tech students do get a job right after they graduate. So there is an internship course that they need to kind of complete before they graduate. So if you work, within Highline College, that gives you credits for the course, and you also get the experience as well.
Yes, that's a great, so it's like literally part of the program to do as well. So yeah, awesome. Well, with that, we do have, as I kind of teased earlier, an opportunity to work in the CLS and Center for Cultural Inclusive Excellence offices for next year. And so to talk a little bit about that job, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Georgia. Georgia, I don't know if you're trying to talk, but I don't hear you. Oh,
my internet just froze. So
I hear you now though.
So sorry. Can everyone hear and see me? Am I moving?
You're
Okay,
good
great.
now. Yep.
You all were completely frozen, so that's how I knew it was me that was frozen at the perfect moment where I was supposed to unmute. So hello all, my name is Georgia Peary. I use the pronoun she, her. I am the club's program leadership advisor within the Center for Leadership and Service. I'm also part of the leadership programming team. There are other leadership advisors here as well. But as Amy said, I'm here to talk about an actual concrete example of a job on campus. And we have a unique opportunity every year within the Center for Leadership and Service and the Center for Cultural and Inclusive Excellence. Together, we like to call ourselves the center. So I will just be saying the center from now on. But we are really lucky in that we get to employ about 28 to 30 student leaders every year. And we call this team our core services leadership team. And so I'm happy to say that the application for next academic year is open and the due date is May 3rd at 5 p.m. And there is the bit.ly link to the application. So hopefully someone's going to put that in the chat, but I encourage you to take a look at that. And then when we head to the next slide, we're going to go into more of why you would be interested in joining the core services leadership team. So kind of a lot of what you all said in the chat, as well as what Amy put forward, is you would be joining a community of student leaders. We have about 8 teams. And so you could apply in one application to say you're interested in all 8 positions, if that is something that you want to do. But really, if you do end up getting an offer to work in our office, you would not only be part of that one team, but you'd be part of the larger core student leadership team and an opportunity to collaborate with those other teams and learn more about what they do. Secondly, like you all said, it's convenient. When or if we are on campus, you would be on campus with us. We don't know exactly what that looks like, but we are really lucky in that all of our positions were pretty seamlessly able to transition to the virtual work environment. And so while this means, yes, you being on Zoom as well, or other platforms, know that these are positions that you can do from your own home or wherever that you are commuting to in this virtual world. Lastly, we're going to help you develop professional skills, and especially in the center, this isn't just a job that you clock in, you're going to get paid, and you clock out. We wouldn't really be us if we just had you do that. So what we really like to strive to do is all of our programming, all of the ways that we approach student development, that we interact with students, that we want you to go and leave Highline and then interact with the community at large, is we really try to have you all develop professional skills, but through the lens of leadership and social justice. And so I don't really want that to seem intimidating. If you yourself don't see yourself as a leader, or you yourself don't think you have a lot of knowledge in the topic of social justice, that does not mean you are not qualified to work in our office. We actually love that we get to develop leaders and teach them more about social justice and equity. And even if you are someone who you really think of yourself as a leader and you know a lot about social justice, then please apply as well. We just want to make sure that it's not a requirement that you have to be so knowledgeable in these topics, because we really want to be here to help develop you, which is another perk of being on our team. So yes, some of the nice parts of this application, it is one application and these are all the positions. So I'm going to give a very brief description of all of them, but you can also find all of the position descriptions on our website. So we have the Associated Students of Highline College, or for short ASHC, which is your student government. The Speaker of the Caucus position on that team is a hired leadership position. So we also have the Community Budget Coordinator. I would say if you are into dealing with money, into interacting with other like faculty and staff on campus, and really learning about budget at a higher ed institution and working one-on-one with our program manager in the CLS, I would highly recommend this position for you. We have our community leadership consultants. I'm biased, this is my team, so it's the best. But this is also known as the clubs team. And what they do is they really help club leaders, one, form their clubs, help them facilitate meetings and learn more about that. and then also help club leaders plan events. So it's really, you get to learn some administrative skills, but also peer-to-peer relationship development. We also have our community resource consultants. So these are students that are at the front desk and they do a lot of admin work and also customer service. So if greeting people as they come into the center or learning more about admin skills interests you, we recommend you applying for that. We have our global student ambassadors, and these students are really tasked with creating like fun and educational programming that brings together our domestic students and also our international student community. We have our intercultural center peer facilitators, and these students really facilitate conversations in the intercultural center, but now on Zoom, about any topic that really interests them, but definitely through a social justice lens. We have our marketing, outreach, and design team next. And these are graphic designers and marketing consultants. I'll go back to the point of an on-campus job really being in tune with your larger career goals. And these are students that are actually in the graphic design program or studying that. And so they can actually get the experience of working with clients and designing things for clients and getting that on the job experience. And then lastly, we have our service and mentorship engagement consultants. And these students are really tasked with overseeing like our peer-to-peer mentorship program that CCIE has really developed over the past 2 years. And then also making sure to connect students to on-campus and off-campus service opportunities. And so it's another great way to meet new students, but also develop more as a leader. So what do you need? And this is where you can actually tap into CASE to help you with these things. So we do ask you to submit a resume. We also understand that this may be the first job you're applying for. So if it is not, a robust resume, we completely understand. We just want to know more about your past experiences. We do want the names and contact information of 2 professional references. If you're having trouble thinking about these people, who could they be? Maybe you haven't had technically a paid position. We're obviously very flexible. So think about the volunteer opportunities that you've had. Is there a supervisor that you had in that? Is there a faculty member that can speak to you and your work ethic? But if you have any questions about that, I'm sure CASE can help you brainstorm those names, as well as any of our leadership advisors. We also have a personal statement prompt. And so you might be used to seeing in a job application that you have to write a cover letter. So we're not really asking for a cover letter. We have a specific prompt that we want you to think about and reflect on. And we also understand that reflection can look different for everyone, and responding to this prompt can look different for everyone. And so you can submit a written essay in response to the prompt. You can record a video. We also think that if there's an art piece that you want to make or that you already have that is a response to it, I believe we asked for maybe some description of it, but we want to make sure that your way of responding to the prompt, you can do so in whatever method is best for you. And then lastly, we have some additional support. If you still have questions about putting together your application, we want to make sure that you're not alone in this process of applying. You can email any of us. I will try and put all of our emails in the chat after I'm done speaking. But we also have kind of a drop-in one-on-one support Zoom session happening April 20th, 3 to 4 p.m. Zoom link to come soon, I'm assuming. And so that's also a time where you can drop in with any of the questions that you have and speak to one of the leadership advisors in our office one-on-one. That was all I had. So I'm going to hand it back over to CASE.
Thanks, Georgia. So yeah, right now we'll be talking about resumes and cover letters, tips on how to build a winning resume and how to write a cover letter. Now, remember that these handouts are available on our website at studentemployment.highline.edu if you wanted to check these out at the end of the session. Now, when you create a resume, you sometimes wonder, did I include everything that I need to include? What does it lack? A lot of jobs nowadays require an electronic submission, and these tips will definitely help you land the job. Now, you want to go by these 4 simple steps. Accuracy, detail, relevance, and consistency. I will be referencing these steps throughout the entire resume and cover letter portion. But a resume should have like a header. This is where you want to include your contact information. Now, I've seen many resumes and they all have their own flair, but you would have your name, which will be bolded and slightly bigger than the rest of the contact information. This is where the accuracy comes in. You want to include a good phone number that works and an email where the employer can reach you. And it is best if you just include the city and state for your address. It's totally optional, but for the most part, the employer would just ask you about it if they needed it at the interview. An objective. So this should be around 3 to 4 sentences stating why you'd like to get this job and your top qualifications that match it. You'd only need one if you do not have a cover letter, but sometimes a cover letter is not needed. So an objective is perfect. Remember that it's all in the detail. Now, to move forward, you have to be relevant and consistent with the information that you provide for your education and experience portion. Make sure you list the where and when part. So if you're writing down some work experience, make sure you list the city and the state where you worked at, and also the company and the title that you had in your last position. Have your skills listed down as well. This can be proficiency in Microsoft Suite, or if you know another language, you may write it down. Depending on the job that you apply for, it can actually really be a bonus. And lastly, you want to include any achievements. So this can be awards. If you received any awards here at Highline, definitely list those. If you have any certifications along with the degree that you're getting or you got, make sure that you include that, and also when you received it. Some professional associations, and some relevant coursework if the job requires to list that down in your resume. We can go to the next slide. All right, perfect. Here are some tips of what not to include in your resume. It's actually known for an employer to just glance over your resume for 8 seconds for them to determine if they actually want to read over it. So remember that you want to be consistent with your information on your resume. So don't state reasons for leaving a previous employer or anything salary information or the date that you're available to work. The employer will most likely ask you about when you're available, and usually the salary information is now included in every job description. So personal information can be left at home. The number of children you have, your marital status, age, all of that stuff. Just add your professional information. And remember to double check your resume. You don't want to repeat any information that you already stated in your resume. And also, when you list your education portion, make sure that you list your degree as is. Don't abbreviate it, like AA for the transfer, or BA, MA, PhD. Also, listing your references. So this can be a separate document. Usually right now, what we go for, especially with online submissions, it's cover letter, resume, and list of references. Some have no cover letter submission, but you would just have your references as a separate document. And make sure that you don't include pictures or graphics on your resume. I always tell my students that come to any resume appointment that every resume is literally tailored to a specific job that you're applying for. So there's no such thing as a perfect resume. All right, so let's dive into cover letters. Now, a lot of people don't give much attention to making a cover letter. It's actually widely used now and can help you land the job faster than those without one. But of course, it really just depends on the position and what the employer requires of you. The purpose of a cover letter is convincing your employer to give you an interview. And also to address your specific qualification for the job. So this is where you talk about your professional side, your education, and your experience that matches with the job that you're applying for. They also would like to know your knowledge about the company, and what you can add to their company as well. Now, a resume and a cover letter both need to be well written, and they're obviously not going to be generic. They're going to be tailored to a specific job that you're applying for. All right, some basic rules to follow for a cover letter. Remember that a cover letter is just a long version of an objective. It's just with a lot more detail. So it's an introduction of you and what you can do. If you're a student that is graduating, you can list the college and what degree you received. That would help you, be a great fit for the position. So if you're a Highline student, definitely include that in there. Also include the knowledge that you know about the company and how you can best help the company if you do receive the job. Like I said before, don't repeat the information on your resume on your cover letter. This is just about you and kind of like a reflection of individuality. A cover letter also makes you stand out and makes you kind of brag about yourself, which is a really good moment to do that as well. And make sure that your cover letter, again, can't stress this is enough. It's different for each job that you apply for. You can keep your cover letter at 1 page, so around 2 to 3 paragraphs, or if you want to go with 150 words, kind of like the maximum is what you can go with, like guideline wise. Now avoid starting every paragraph or every sentence with an I. On our student employment page, we actually have the resume and cover letter packet that can help you find some other keywords to start a sentence without having to use I every time. Make sure that you include your soft skills as well. So like communication, how are you doing with that? And other skills that may help the company. And again, proofread. Definitely read the letter out loud before you send it. And make sure that you name the document appropriately as an attachment. So for example, you could put your first, last name, and then a cover letter as the name of the document. So this is a very rough example of a cover letter, very beginner style, but we wanted to show you kind of like a simple visual of what we just talked about. So we'll just call it Sarah's cover letter. As you can see here, Sarah had included a letterhead, so kind of like the contact information portion where you'd have your name, an email, and a good phone number. You also want to include the date that you're sending it through. So she put February 20th. You'd obviously tailor it to the day that you send it through. You would have the company name and the address of the employer. Some people do not know, but now with online submissions, it's a lot easier. So you could list that there. If you do not know the name of the hiring manager or the employer that you're seeing for the interview, you can definitely just go with Dear and then put the name of the company rather than putting the name. But you definitely want to personalize the greeting. And then once you go over into kind of like the reason why you're interested in this position, it would kind of go into the first 2 paragraphs where you talk about where you heard the job. If you just graduated, you would put, I just graduated from Highline College with this degree. And also you would write down the experience, the skills, and the knowledge that you acquire to help you, later in this position if you receive it. Also, you would include your education again, and then personal qualifications that match up. And in your 3rd paragraph, you just want to restate yourself. As you can see here, Sarah said, "I'm a highly motivated professional and I am eager to apply my knowledge and skills as your intern. I look forward to speaking with you about the position and how I might be able to help your firm." And then she ended her letter with, "Please feel free to contact me at your convenience to schedule an interview. Thank you for your consideration. So this is a very rough draft, but for a more in-depth workshop for resumes and cover letters, you can definitely request a personal workshop by emailing us at case@highline.edu.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Daniela. So we have gone through all of these great resources that are available to you all in CASE, and also shared an opportunity. And so we wanted to just take a few minutes if anyone had any questions, any follow-up questions about the content that Daniela presented, any questions for the leadership advisors about our positions. We have some time to take questions, so feel free to type it in the chat, or you can also use the raise hand, and I can make it so that you can unmute and you can speak out your question. So I'll take a few minutes to take any questions. Make sure I don't cut anyone off if they're typing, but we might have just done such a good job presenting the information that we don't have any questions, which is great. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and go through our final just wrap up information, but we can also, if you're typing your question now, as I'm going through the wrap up information, we can take the questions after that. So I will just go ahead and do that. So thank you all so much for attending our program today. In the chat box, you will find a link for our ThunderWeek feedback form. Your feedback is critical in enhancing our programs, so we really appreciate if you can share some thoughts about your experience today. And a reminder, if you didn't check in when you arrived, please do so before you leave. We have 2 more events for ThunderWeek this week. Tomorrow we have our monthly leadership workshop, which we call Thunderbird Thursday, from 2:30 to 4 p.m. Laura Yanez from the Transition Success Center will be leading us in a workshop about what it looks like to collaborate in leadership. And then on Friday, the service and mentorship engagement consultants will be hosting a virtual service fair from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., where you can interact with organizations and groups you can get involved in for community service. And you can find the full ThunderWeek schedule at cls.highline.edu/ThunderWeek. We will have a lot more events throughout Spring-Border, and we would love to have you join us. And one of the big ones I wanted to highlight is coming up April 26th to 30th is our Unity Through Diversity Week, which focuses on exploring and celebrating the rich intersections of identities within our global community through workshops, lectures, and performances. So check out the Unity Week schedule. The link is being shared in the chat as well. And as we mentioned earlier, we are hiring student employees for the 2021-2022 academic year. You can join an amazing community of student leaders in a convenient on-campus or virtual position in a variety of positions, from program planning to front desk and budget administration. And applications are due May 3rd. The link again is being shared in the chat. Finally, follow CLS and CCAE on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date on our upcoming programs and learn more about us and our student leaders. And if email is more your speed, you can subscribe to our bi-weekly email newsletter, and that link is in the chat as well. So now I'm going to go back to the chat and just make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, well, I think if no one has any questions, last call on any questions for your job search, any support from CASE, any questions from the leadership advisors?
I think I will ask maybe on behalf of some students that I know are in this room.
Yes.
So I believe we have some soon to be Highline alums in the room. Are there any specific CASE resources for those students who are transferring to a four-year university or entering the workforce? Anything specific for soon to be alumni?
Yes, so there is a job search tool called Grad Leaders. Now this changed over from my interface. I'm not sure if anyone had an account with my interface, but it's the same. User and password is the same. It's just the platform changed to Grad Leaders. And it's a great tool for alumni, literally anybody. We are open. We help anybody that needs some job search. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Daniela. Any last questions? Okay, well, I think we're going to wrap it up then. I will still be in this Zoom room for a few minutes if you need anything else. But thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And we will see you at the next Thunder Week event, hopefully. Bye, y'all.